Hello snowboarders of the internet, I'm your host Avran LeFeber, and in this video we'll be reviewing the Dinosaurs Will Die Bilocq Snowboard. That's right, it's Ben Bilocq's pro model. This board has good old-fashioned, original, traditional camber. So from contact point to contact point, you got that arc of traditional camber. That's going to give you your pop and snap as well as your load and drive for this snowboard. If you don't know how it rides, well then you're too young to know how great traditional camber is, and you should probably look at a different review. This board is available in 151, 154, and 157. I rode this board at Copper Mountain on an overcast day with snow falling, low temperatures. There was firm fast groomers, ice chunder, little bit of fresh here and there on the run, and I rode it with my Rome Black Label bindings and my K2 Thraxis boots. This board has that middle of the road predictable park flex, so obviously softer tips stiffening up through the middle with a fair amount of torsional flex to it. Now with that said, you do get chatter out in the nose and the tail. It slightly resonates back underfoot, and then you got this stable spot from just outside the insert pecs through the middle. In rutted out terrain, it can get knocked around, so you just want to make sure that you keep your knees bent, but it's a freestyle board with traditional camber. This is what you should be expecting from a board of this caliber. Good old traditional camber will give you snap. That is just a given, so you do have to load this board up. Now the big thing is with that softer nose and tail, there's a slight delay in how this reacts after you load it up. So it's not going to just spring right away once you load it. It's more like you load it up and then it takes a second or two to engage. So just be aware that when you hit a side hit, you launch a roller, or you're trying to ollie over a fat skier kid. Now, when it comes to jumps, the medium-sized features I was hitting with this thing were perfect for it. 10 to 25 foot range, this thing's dialed. Would I go hit the big line? Probably not, but could I? Yes, if I wanted to, or if I still had cartilage in my knees. With it said, this board gets in the air, it does pop off the lip. Just be aware of that slight delay. You're gonna be a little more calculated with how you load it up and how it engages. The sweet spot in the nose and the tail is immense, so you can really get your weight out over it, feel it lock in, and just butter till your heart's content. It won't really fight you, but it does retain that snap due to the camber profile, so you can pop back out of the butter. But if you're being a little more laid back and lazy, you just want to roll back on the tail and call it a butter, you can do that. I don't know why you do that, that's lazy as shit. Learn how to pop into your butters, people. But it will get the job done. You want to get sideways, it holds well, you know how to balance your weight, you're not going to have a problem with it. If you don't, expect that the camber may get a little grippy, it may bite into the snow. Now when it comes to jibbing, it's the same thing. That sweet spot is huge. You can just sit on your back binding and lock that tail press, or get your weight outside the front one and lock into that nose press. And when you hit the end of the feature, it's going to spring right out. When you get sideways, it cradles the feature, you feel it, that's that camber and that natural arc taking over, it locks in, you're held perfectly fine, and it's just gonna cradle around it to the very end. Unless you shift your weight, then you may come off a little bit earlier. Overall, this board can jib, the flex is very conducive for it, so don't worry about it. When it comes to carving, there are limitations on this board, but what did you expect from a true twin park board? Are you going to be laying it over, railing deep Euro carves all day, every day on this thing? No. If you need to, can you do it? Yes. That's the big thing with it. It does steer out at the contact points due to having traditional camber, and while the nose and tail are a little softer, so you can really flex into it, you do drive it pretty much from the center through the outside of the rear insert pack. It's great for doing short, tight, quick setup carves or medium mellow carves. It's those deep aggressive ones that you start to notice where those limitations come in, and you can cause the tail to fold and wash out. In uneven terrain, the board does get knocked around when it's on edge, so just be prepared for that it might not fully stay locked in at all times. Overall, for what it is, it's predictable. If you know how a twin park board with camber should ride on edge, you're not going to have a problem with it. If you don't, might be time to learn how to ride camber. Who's this board for? The camber-loving park guy. If you like camber and a board that's not domineering, you're probably gonna love the Bilocq. It's a very predictable ride. It's just traditional camber. It's very meat and potatoes, if you will, in how it rides. That's what I liked about it. You got these nice sweet spots in the nose and the tail for playing around. You got camber for snapping. It's not an overly aggressive board, but it's also not a slug. It does what you need it to do at the end of the day, and it's solid. Comparable boards, the Nitro T1, the Arbor Westmark Camber, the Ride Kink. This has been my review of the Dinosaurs Will Die Bilocq. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you own one? Are you gonna buy one? Leave me a comment down below. Let's have a conversation about this snowboard. If you're new here, remember to subscribe, click the bell, get those notifications. That way you're not missing any of the videos we got coming out for all you snowboarders of the internet. And if you really like what we're doing over here and you wanna support us further, swing on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP and become a member. Your support will help us grow what we're doing over here. As always, I've been your host, Avran LeFeber, and I'll see you in another video.